The next part of this Animate tutorial is to show you some animation and how to do a couple of animation techniques using the Adobe Animate tool. First of all, let's just make sure we're at 24 frames a second and that we have the right size of the frame that we want. One of the things, like I mentioned before, animation, you're going to have this timeline up here. And what that does is that determines the length of your animation, how long it is, how many drawings you're going to be doing. And that can be expanded out for however long you want. I mean, you can make this thousands of frames if you want, if it was a long animation, or you could cut it up into separate little shots and make animations that way. We're going to keep it fairly simple just for this tutorial, and we're just going to keep it to a few seconds. It always starts at frame 1. That's always a good place to start with animation. And what I'm going to show you now is some straight ahead animation, which is the classic way of doing animation like you would on paper. It is a very still used very much today. Adobe Animate has some tools to make it easier, but people still do sort of the classic methods of doing straight ahead animation using the animation tool, and it is a very good tool to do that. It does have a very good effect. I'm just going to be using the pencil tool to illustrate this, which is just going to give me a pencil line, and let's just make it, let's see how, yeah, that's pretty good. Control Z to undo that. And I'm just going to do like a little squiggle line like I was doing on the flip books, and I'm going to start on frame 1 in this layer here. And you can rename these layers anything you want. Let's just rename it squiggle. And I'm going to start at frame 1. And I'm just going to start over here, and I'm going to make a line like that. I'm going to go to my next frame. And I'm going to press F7. Okay? So F7, what that will do is that'll give me an empty line here. If you go to frame 1, you see the line there, and if I go to frame 2, it gives me a keyframe, but there's nothing there. And as you can see, I can't see what the previous frame was. In here on the top, underneath the timeline here and above your stage, you have a few of these tools here, and this is your onion skinning tool. And you have just the outlines. You can have just the outlines, or you can have the onion skin. I'm just going to press onion skin. And what that does is that shows me what is beneath my drawing and what is coming ahead too. And I can expand that out here. I can determine how much onion skinning I want to see, how many frames previous or after that I want to show my animation. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to draw a line like that. I'm going to go to the next frame, press F7. And notice that the onion skinning is showing the 2 previous frames. Doing that. I'm going to go to the next line, press F7. Now, my onion skinning is only showing the 2 previous frames, and that's usually just fine. Control Z, I don't like that. If I want to undo it, then I'm just going to go here. If I wanted to show more of the frames underneath, I can expand that out however much I want. So if I expanded that out to frame 1, it's going to show all the frames previous. Pressing F7, just pressing F7 will take me to the next frame and make an empty keyframe like that. F7. Notice that I'm overlapping my line a little bit. And I'm just doing some real simple straight ahead animation here, like so. And I can see what's underneath. Now, if I turn off onion skinning and I play my animation, I'm just scrolling through. If I want to remove that keyframe, I just go remove frame there. And if I press enter, it'll play my animation at 24 frames a second. Very cool. Okay. Now, let's just say I want to add another animation along with this, okay? I can go through each one of these frames here and add, I can go and add like another straight ahead animation. Just turn on that. And I can add on top of this, let's just go to frame 1. I can go and I can add a drawing on top of that. And go to the next frame. See, as you can see what's happening here is that it's getting a little complicated. So I'm just pressing the period or the comma key, and I can go back and forth. So I'm going to the next frame, onion skinning on, and I can draw another animation along with that, like so. And turn onion skinning off. And as you can see, I've got two animations going on the same timeline. However, I can add another layer here. So if I go down underneath my the layer section here in the timeline, I can add a layer that goes along with that. So now I can do a whole nother animation on top of that previous animation that I've done. It's not on the same layer, it's on a separate layer, but let's just kind of do something a little different. And I'm going to make a circle. I'm going to choose the oval tool, and I'm going to show you another method of doing some animation using this basic straight ahead technique. So I'm going to go to the stroke tool, and I'm going to make a black, let's make it a blue circle just to make it different. And I'm not going to make it, I'm going to just make an empty circle. So I'm going to go to my fill color, and I'm going to go press this section there, and that's going to just not give it a fill at all. There's not going to be any color inside that that circle there. So I'm going to go and I'm going to make this circle. I'm going to press the shift key so it stays a perfect circle, and it put a circle right there on top of on this layer here. Okay, so now I could do the same thing where I could go F7. Let's turn on the onion skinning, and I can go to my circle tool and draw another circle. But as you can see, it's like, okay, well, that might not be. I could be inconsistent with the circle here. What I can do is, and now also what's happening is I'm getting distracted with all this animation underneath. So I'm going to turn that previous animation. I'm just going to make it invisible. It's still there. I'm just making it invisible. Now I'm taking this circle here. Let's look and see what we've got so far. Yeah, it's okay. But I'm going to make it a little easier on myself, and I'm going to go to the next keyframe on here, and I'm going to press F6. What F6 did is copied the previous keyframe that was before. It didn't make an empty keyframe, there's nothing there, and I just made another circle. Now if I move that circle, it just copied that circle onto the next frame, and then I can just move it with my selection tool. I pressed F6, not F7 this time. As you can see, I am now just moving the same circle down here. Now I want to do some squash on it, okay, which is a good thing to do. And I'm going to go to this free transform tool, just like in Photoshop, and I can squash that tool there, give it a little squash, just give it a little more, and I can actually, using my arrow tools, I can put that down like that. Let's see what we got there. I just want to double check my animation. Then I'm going to press F6 again. Oops. And then I'm going to give it a stretch. Let's turn on the onion skinning so I see what's going on. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to that keyframe that's a perfect circle. I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy frames, go to frame 11 and paste frame. So now I'm going to go to, I've just copied that perfect circle with my selection tool. I'm going to make it go and continue on with the animation. Just Control Z. And by pressing F6, what went on here? What did I do? I made a little mistake. Oh, no, I didn't. Let's clear, remove frames. And press F6. Move that there. Like so. Turn off onion skinning and just look at my animation there. You can see I made a little mistake here. Something went on here. I copied and pasted some frames here, but no biggie. So I just look at those frames that I want to delete out. So let's go this frame, this frame, this frame. I'm going to delete all those frames out actually. This is one of the good things about Adobe Animate, is that you can edit it very easily. So then I go F6, let's turn on my onion skinning, F6, oops, I know what I did wrong. I see what I did wrong. I had that selected, so I have to go here. When I had all those keyframes selected, it basically just put a keyframe on all of those things there. So that's what happened there. And I'm continuing on with my animation. Turn on the other layer underneath it, and I have the two animations, straight ahead animations, going along together.